Oh, Lord. Okay. You'll notice I am currently in uniform right now, and that's because I just got off of work. Today's Monday, but I've been at work since 9 a.m. on Sunday. So if I seem tired and like I didn't sleep last night, it's because I didn't. See, I had weekend staff duty, which you would have seen through the absolute shit show that was my Q&A that I decided to have impromptu at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And it was rotational, so no, I didn't do anything to get punished for it. It was just my turn. It's alphabetical, so I guess I'm being punished for having the last name that starts with a T. And of course, people are going to ask, what is staff duty? It's basically where I am on standby for anything bad that happens while also making sure that nothing weird goes on, like on post. It's basically that thing that I made a video about way back in the day when I was a sophomore in school, where I just sat at a desk for 12 hours overnight on a weekend. You know, that video was actually, I think, one of my more underrated things I've ever made. And it's still to this day one of the favorite things I've ever made for YouTube. The funny story behind it was that I had a 12-hour overnight weekend shift, so there was nothing to do at all. And like I could not leave the barracks for anything. So to kill time, I decided to make that video while everyone was either gone or asleep, with the intention of, you know, killing some time. But between shooting, editing, and uploading, it only took 4 hours. So in the end, I still had like 8 hours I had to kill afterwards. So this being a lieutenant log, the past couple weeks have been more of the same. It's just kind of that time of the year. It was layouts and classes and more layouts after that. And I think people underestimate the amount of background work that goes on in the Army in general. Like the amount of planning and management it takes to have just one guy fire one round out of his rifle is immense. It is not to be underestimated at all. And that's for doing really anything in the Army. Shooting your weapon, driving a vehicle out of the motor pool. Anything you think of requires a lot of planning. And I mean, naturally, it exists for a reason. This isn't me providing my brilliant solutions to complex logistical problems. But I hear a lot of people say like what does a normal day look like, especially in the infantry, where, you know, if you're a mechanic, you can imagine someone fixing tanks or helicopters all day. Or someone's a desk clerk, you can imagine them just working at a desk all day. But it's usually like the combat arms that don't have like a civilian equivalent that people kind of like wonder what we do every day. And I've had a lot of people complain that they'll ask other people, but then they'll not get a straight answer, which honestly is fair. Because we go through cycles of so many different things and we have to do so many different types of tasks that there is no just like standard day. Other than vehicle maintenance on Mondays and then PT in the mornings, our days are typically totally different depending on what we're trying to do. So like the past 2 weeks have done a lot of maintenance and layouts to make sure we have everything. Next week's going to start a lot of ranges, not a lot of layouts. And some of those ranges are going to go all night where we sleep out at the range. But really, you can't really have a standard day when, depending on what cycle you're in of training, every day is different. And so back to the questions I was getting on my Q&A, another big question I always get on top of what was my GPA in high school was, do I regret joining the Army or going to West Point or being in the infantry? People are very concerned that I hate my life decisions or that I live with regret every day because I didn't do X, Y, or Z. And I think a lot of that for other people is rooted in kind of a fear of doing things that are hard or that require a lot of commitment or have a high possibility of failure. And I think this is by far the worst attitude you could possibly have towards things. Now, I'm sure that viewers of this channel or people who follow me on social media or just people who don't know me super well just kind of see a stack of progression in my life, and you just kind of get those little bits of highlight that I decide to put on the internet or put in front of a camera. But if you ask anyone who really knows me well, they'll tell you that I have failed a lot. I've made bad calls, I've done things that are dumb, I've done things that are stupid and just seem obvious in hindsight, but I've never let those kinds of things stop me from going forward or trying to be better at things. And it was this progression of failures and successes that have drastically changed me into who I am today. Like, I think back on when I was in high school and who I was, and I was barely even a person. I was just a massive idiot who didn't really know anything. All of my opinions or thoughts on the world were just regurgitated lines that I'd read on the internet or read in some like cliche book that everyone else had read. Like I remember I would literally say things out loud and think to myself while I was saying that, why did I even say that? And honestly, a part of it was because my life was too easy at the time. I had nothing really to worry about other than the occasional late night paper or the roller coaster that is being an insecure, emotional 16-year-old. And it wasn't until I like took risks or got to college that I got my ass completely handed to me that I really learned kind of like who I was and really started shaping things in my head and how they worked. I think people gravely underestimate how dangerous it is to just like stick to things that are safe or things that you won't fail at. Because like, even if hypothetically I had failed out of school or had dropped out because it was too hard, I still would have learned things about myself along that way. And I'd grown as a human being. Anyway, I'm gonna stop proselytizing on my life experiences and go eat 6,000 calories and pass out on my couch.